I'm at the Dubai Diamond Conference with Iris van der Wicke of the Responsible Jewelry Council. Iris, thank you for joining us.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here.
So, at today's panel discussions, speaker after speaker has said that what matters most is the trust that the consumer places in our product and as a category. And they've talked about various systems for provenance, etc. But we're now getting worrying stories again about conflict diamonds, about, the category in general being under threat. So I would just like your perspective on what we need to do as an industry to set things straight.
Well, it's a very good question. I think, first of all, it's very important that leaders within the industry are very committed to sustainability. And then, of course, everyone asks, define sustainability. And I also sometimes say, well, sustainability is about human dignity. It's about leaving no one behind. And it has different components. In other words, it's about respecting human rights. It's about doing due diligence, understanding your supply chain. Who are you buying from? Understanding your management systems. And we talked about it today also in the conference about product integrity and disclosure. When that consumer walks into a boutique, it expects trust. And it's very important that that supply chain is not contaminated, and whatever we disclose, that it's correct information. But it's also about climate and environmental practices and health and safety, etc. So it's not an easy process, but it means is that companies need to have strong management systems into place. And of course that takes time. That's a process of continuous improvement, but that's not an excuse not to do it. So I would say my first advice is, really top leadership commitment that say, okay, I want to really put sustainability at the core of my business strategy, and I will really shape a culture inside my organization to drive that trust. Second, I do want to emphasize on one aspect, and that's human rights. I think because we are an industry of beauty and emotions, we have a huge responsibility to take care of the lives of people we touch. And I think we also have an enormous opportunity to do good. And that means is that human rights due diligence is very important. Really understanding, who are you buying from? And if you're working with different suppliers, understanding their practices. And again, that takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. And again, like I said, it's not an easy process, but you have to start that journey. But the time is now. I believe that everyone has to step up, because I think the good news is we've done already a lot. Since 2005, the RJC was founded. That was a pioneer vision, if you think about it, to really develop a robust standard. I think the good news is we are now 16 years later, and the RJC is a mature organization. And the code of practices is also very robust. It's aligned with the OECD due diligence and the UN guiding principles on business and human rights. But my advice is, let's put additional emphasis on operationalizing due diligence, on really working continuously to improve better, and also reporting on progress. I think sometimes companies might be afraid to acknowledge that there are issues, but we live in an imperfect world, and all industries have issues, but we need to tackle them, and we need to show that we have action plans in place. And I think one final comment I want to make is that sustainability is a shared responsibility. You need governments to protect, you need businesses to respect, you need, of course, the opportunity for remediation, but it is a shared responsibility. And so I also believe that, that there's an enormous role to work closely with the NGO world. Since I came on board at RGC, I'm really trying to work hard and learn from, NGOs like Human Rights Watch or Global Witness, who have information on the ground. So how can we understand the information they have and again help strengthen certain practices? It will not happen overnight, but I think there's no excuse not to accelerate action.
Iris, thank you very much indeed.